G'day, welcome back to the channel. My name's Matt, but you all know me as WFX Malice. Today I'm here to talk to you about my racing sim rig. Let's start with what is a racing sim rig. A racing simulator can be anything from a simple pedal and steering wheel setup, costing you as little as $300 or $400, right up to something fully professional with full range of motion, swing arms, shock absorbers, shakers, 3D goggles, and costing upwards of $50,000. Huge budget, right? Why? Well, racing simulations evolved massively over the last few years. Professional drivers nowadays are preferencing using a racing sim to practice on their tracks before they get there for race day. I mean, it makes sense. You can drive this thing all day and all night without costing you a cent in petrol, without wear and tear on a vehicle or the engine. You can crash it as many times as you want without injuring yourself or damaging the vehicle. If you look at the V8 Supercar series nowadays, Gfinity has an e-racing series where they get 12 of the best drivers from Australia and New Zealand and put them head to head against each other. That's how big it's getting nowadays. So what made me want to build a racing sim rig? Well, I'm a massive motorsport fan. I love racing. I love driving cars. I've owned probably 50 plus vehicles. I used to buy and sell cars at one point to make some money. I've done a heap of restorations, engine conversions, anything to do with vehicles. I love it. Well, I went to a friend's house and he had Forza Horizon 3. It's the Australian one where you can race the Holdens and the Fords. It's never been seen before. Jump in an Aussie Holden, thrash it around the streets, do some burnouts, race against some Lambos. I was hooked. I thought, I gotta have this. So I started looking online for a steering wheel because I didn't want to play on a gamepad like a chump. I wanted to race it with a steering wheel just like a real car. I found this Thrustmaster TX series wheel on eBay. Came with the upgraded pedals, came with a second steering wheel, and I got it for under $500. It was an absolute steal. Got it home, set it up on my desk, started playing it, and my chair was sliding around everywhere. The pedals kept disappearing under the desk. It was frustrating. So I thought, right, I'm going to get some timber. I'm going to make up some sort of frame that's going to stop these pedals from sliding away and it's going to keep my chair in the right spot. And then I looked at the bigger picture and thought, well, do I really want to have to keep putting this thing under the desk every time I want to play it? Now I've got my steering wheel. It's going to be in the way of everything. You know, I'm going to be hugging around the steering wheel to type on the keyboard. So I thought, what about if I made its own little desk setup for it? And I started drawing up these designs and, started looking at things like Daytona machines and getting measurements off that. And then I started considering using aluminium extrusion. Now I was starting to get serious. I found a few designs online I'd already liked. Then I found this website called Maytech. Now they're a supplier of the extrusion, but they also have their own CAD program, which made things so simple. Yeah, I know. I could have used any CAD program I wanted to. But the fact that this already had the extrusion shapes on there, all you had to do was select the size you wanted, drag it out, connect it all together. It was like virtualized Meccano. It was awesome. Link below in the description for the program. I jumped online, had a look at a few ideas, then I thought, well, I want something that's going to feel like a car that I'm driving. And at the time I was driving an E90 325i. Beautiful car, I don't care what people say. I know everyone likes throwing shade at Beamers, but they are real drivers' cars. Car was set up exactly the way I liked it, so I started measuring from the seat to the steering wheel to the pedals, pedal back to the seat, and all the different heights and lengths, and threw that into the CAD program. Come out with this design here, which feels exactly like driving a real car. It's perfect. Well, it is for me anyway. Other people prefer Formula One setup or something different. That's fine, that's up to you. But this works for drift, this works for rally, this works for touring cars. It's like a good all-rounder. I got the list of building materials out of MayCAD, threw it into my own Excel spreadsheet, and sent it off to a bunch of suppliers. Well, what was I using? 3.2 meters of 40 by 40, 3.6 meters of 40 by 80, and 4.1 meters of 40 by 120. Now, realistically, I probably could have cut that 40 by 120 down a bit. The sim rig is a little bit longer than it needs to be, but it's always good to have versatility to be able to make it a bit longer if I wanted to. Maybe I might get a bigger monitor one day and want to sit back a little bit further, so future proofing, I guess. I sent the quote off to a whole bunch of suppliers and I come back with prices ranging from $700 right up to $1,500. So it pays to shop around. I put my order in naturally for the $700 one. Took about 3 or 4 days and it all turned up in 3 different parcels. I laid it all out and started constructing it. It took me about 6 to 8 hours to completely construct it. So I took my time and I wanted to get it exactly right. You know, the measurements, everything had to be spot on exactly as I planned it out in the CAD program. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a lot of work to play Forza Horizon 3, but I'll be honest, by the time I'd got to this point, Forza Horizon 3 was well out of the picture for me, and I was already into things like Assetto Corsa, Project Cars 2. There's plenty of things out there. I've even started using it for things like Euro Truck Simulator. I know it's a little bit out of the way for that sort of game, but it works. The best bit about things like Assetto Corsa is there's programmers out there that go and make vehicles of all different styles. So once again, you can get those Holdens, you can thrash them around a track, you can get your BMWs, you can get your Audis, you can get absolutely anything, including the Flintstones car to race around a track. So what sort of equipment am I running? I started out with quite a nice setup. The Thrustmaster TX series servo base with the upgraded Ferrari 599 steering wheel and the T3 PA pedal setup, all by Thrustmaster. From there I went and bought a Bride copy of a racing seat, perfect for the sim rig, ideal for off-road type uses. I then went and got a mechanical analog handbrake, a sequential mechanical shifter made by a company called Aologs. Just a bloke over in Russia who makes these by hand, and I tell you, the quality is right up there. It's as good as some of the real high-end stuff, and it is nowhere near the price. Very well worth looking at. The Samsung 7.1 tube amplifier, I can't stand wearing a headset when I'm racing. You've got to have the surround sound. It's got to be like being in a real car. The 40-inch full high-definition screen, and the newest addition, of course, is the wall mount PC. I'll go into more detail about that PC in another video. I don't want to extend this one anymore. So, if you're into racing, and you're overplaying on a keyboard and mouse or with a gamepad like a chump, and you want to have a go at getting a steering wheel set up, I recommend building something like this. There's plenty of frames you can buy out there to do this. I don't think they do the gaming justice. I see a lot of people buy these frames, they're flimsy, they're flopping around, and people just get fed up with it. They get sick of playing the games. It doesn't give them the same enjoyment. So I'm going to throw some links down below for all of the files that I've used to make this. For the CAD program, as mentioned, I'll put all the dimensions and the costing of what I've done, and that way it's going to make things a little bit easier. If you want to come up with your own sort of design, if you want to build something like this for yourself, it's all right there. Why reinvent the wheel? That is my biggest number one. Look guys, thanks for watching. Throw your comments down below. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching guys. See you next time.